Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here with a highlight from a recent episode. Paul Cornell, the fantastic science fiction writer, he writes great comic books, he writes great Doctor Who, both episodes and books, and he's of course well known for his wonderful work on Human Nature and Father's Day, two of the best Doctor Who episodes ever. And he's also done wonderful short stories and created the character Benny Summerfield. But he has just released a new book through Target. Remember Target did those great Doctor Who adaptations in the 70s. It was a way for us Americans to really appreciate Doctor Who, and Brits as well. And Paul had a great affection for the Target books and, of course, leapt at the challenge to write and adapt the great final episode of Peter Capaldi's epic run on Doctor Who, Twice Upon a Time. And we talk about that and his love of the Target books. Now, Paul goes into other great detail of a lot of other projects he's doing. If you want to hear the full interview, come to wordballoon.com. I hope you do. You'll find other great episodes featuring wonderful creators of geek culture. And I have these great conversations on my podcast all the time. Subscribe to the podcast at wordballoon.com, but enjoy this short feature with Paul Cornell talking about the Doctor Who Target books and his own Twice Upon a Time, now on Word Balloon. Congratulations with the, is it Twice Upon a Time? Isn't that the title of the Doctor Who crossover with the first Doctor? And,
yes.
I get my numbering wrong if he's 12. He's 12, isn't he?
He is 12.
There we go. Yeah, what a great story, and great to see the Target books back, and great to see you get this assignment.
Well, yeah, it's been lovely. We had an enormous signing with all of us who were involved last Friday, and it was just immense. It went on for 3.5 hours. Forbidden Planet had to stay open an extra 2.5 hours to let everybody through. Honestly, when you're in the middle of something like that, you couldn't be more pleased. That's what we live for, really. I mean, sure, they were there for Stephen and Russell. So it was kind of fame by proxy, but it was lovely to be there.
Well, but you've made your Doctor Who stamp with your television episodes, and certainly your books and short stories that you've done, and your Big Finish work as well. So you're a big, granted not Russell T Davies or Stephen Moffat level, association with the thing, but I'm sure that your fans showed up and were very happy to see you.
Wow. But no, it was a delight, and we've sold out our first print runs, all of us, and they're reprinting, and it's brilliant. They called me up to ask about this late last year, and I'd already said that I was finishing up Doctor Who, that I was only going to do my own characters from now on.
Oh, okay.
But this was too delicious to pass up. It was just to be a Target author. That's quite something, and I'm quite content now because there's nothing left in Doctor Who that's as delicious as that.
Understood.
So I can now say once again I am back off to just doing my own characters.
Well, I'm glad you had this opportunity, because even I, in America growing up, really loved the Target books. At the time, we only were getting mostly Tom Baker stuff, and this would be the late 70s or even the mid 70s. I remember getting Tom Baker stuff. Chicago, WTTW television, public television, and I remember too, we got a bit of the Pertwees, and then we got all the Pertwees that survived. But that was it. So really, to understand the history of Doctor Who, we leaned on the Target books, and they're great. They're adaptations of the show, as is your episode or your novel. But it's just as good as the Targets were in terms of being rich and getting a little deeper, as much as being a television adaptation. And it really was this wonderful way to understand the history of Doctor Who before, certainly what few other previous episodes have survived and now have been playing all over the world. So it's great to see your involvement, and yeah, this is just another great example. I think yours is the only of the currents that I read, but I thought it was tremendous, and you get inside of both doctors' heads in a way that the television show isn't able to do.
And I give Bill a happy ending, which was something I really wanted to do.
Absolutely. Great television production, and that guy David, and I forget his name, the actor that played Hartnell.
Oh, David Bradley.
David Bradley, who's so good in, everything he does. I love him in the Edgar Wright movies when he pops up as well. But my God, when they first cast him to be Hartnell for that BBC produced, kind of biopic of Hartnell and everything, it's scary how much he looks like him. So much more. I thought they did a great job with the Five Doctors and the actor that played Hartnell, and he was different, but it was fun seeing that guy kind of being the first Doctor. But yeah, David really becomes the Doctor in that television episode.
Well, yeah, and of course I got to write Jodie Whittaker very briefly at the end, which was a great pleasure.
That's excellent, man. So have you ever? I don't think I've ever asked you who your favorite Doctors are. Are you able to do that? Or are you able? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, well, of course, I'm a Who fan. I've got a list sitting in the back of my head at all times of anything. I think, weighing it all in all, Sylvester McCoy is probably my favourite Doctor.
Wow, cool.
But at times I lean towards Peter Davison. At times I lean towards Peter Capaldi, and so yeah. But Sylvester McCoy has got so many. There's so much I love about his work, and he's got so many good associations for me. So, yeah, I think that's where I am right now.
That's excellent. Like I said, Baker was my first Doctor, and of course you couldn't help but love him. And I was really excited about Peter Davison. Again, Target Books, we got I believe it was The Visitation, was the first novelization with the Fifth Doctor, and it had his picture on the cover. And again, we got that before we got the shows. And then he and Sandra Dickinson came to Chicago for a signing in a comic book store.
Well, yeah, Chicago was always big for Who in the States, wasn't it? I mean, the big Visions conventions and all that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And now I'm blanking the John Nathan Turner.
Mm-hmm.
He came, and Tegan came, and Nissa came, and Harry, who also Ian Martin, who wrote a Target book or two, as I remember.
Yes, Ian Martin wrote several of them, yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I learnt the other day that, I had a little case of the new Target book sent over to Terrance Dicks, and he emailed me being very pleased about that. So that was a great pleasure to do.
That's great to hear, because, yes, I was going to mention, he wrote a lot of the Target books, correct?
Yeah, he wrote the vast majority. I mean, a really staggering number of them. And his work in them is extraordinary in that not only does he have this immensely clear, precise, simple prose that really gets the job done, and I was emulating all the time in Twice Upon a Time, but he tidies up the plots.
Yes.
He does so many little nips and tucks and explanations and makes things better all over the place. And fact to fiction articles in Doctor Who magazine, Alan Barnes writing them, has taken to really comparing what the original plot was with what Terrance does to it. And sometimes there are literally dozens of little interventions he does just to make everything better.
Well, and also then the budgets were small, and you really had to use your imagination, I think. I mean, I remember that one Tom Baker episode, and maybe it was the Horror of Fang Rock or something, where it was like a stuffed animal was like the monster. I could be misremembering which specific episode it might have been.
The stuffed animal sounds like Talons of Wang Chiang.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. See, there you go, Paul. But,
there was the Taran Wood Beast, but that only pops up for a moment.
But my point being that, as you say with Terrance Dicks, the books really do. Your imagination is much more expansive than I'm sure whatever the television budget was able to produce. The War Games is a great example of that. I believe that's the last of the Patrick Troughton stories, right?
Mm. Yeah, and the book actually it's a bit too cut down. I think the TV version of the War Games is excellent, and it's been gaining critical respectability hugely in recent years, and it's one of the serials that has been reevaluated the most, in fact, because for 10 episodes there's very little fat in it, and and the book is a bit too short, really, to cover the distance. I think Terence actually, short circuits a bit, but it's a very late book, and no, it's not Terence. That's why it's Malcolm Hawke.
Okay.
It's Malcolm Hawke's last work, and he dies before it comes out.
Interesting. Wow.
And so yeah, but anyway.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because again, and I haven't seen the War Games yet. I don't know if I'm sure it's on DVD or whatever by now.
Oh yeah, well everything that exists is on DVD.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great, and that almost feels like On Her Majesty's Secret Service in terms of, I think serious Bond fans look at that and, other people, yeah, George Lazenby, whatever. And it's like, no, George Lazenby may not have been the actor that the other Bonds have been. But you have to, say from a story standpoint, and just that I think from the direction they go into with that Bond movie, I'm like, he's in one of the best Bond movies. He's not the actor that the others are. That's my opinion of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. As a Bond fan, I'm assuming. What do you think of that film?
Well, yeah, I hold much the same opinion. I quite like how different he is, actually.
Yes.
I like. Hello, my name's James Bond. Which is so deliberate, a break from the past,
And also his nods to the camera. This didn't happen to the other fellow.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent, man. Very cool. No, and truly, like we said, the Target books were a great tradition. I'm glad this series came out. Do you know, are they going to continue? I know you said your association will end with this one, but
well, people are saying they might. And the success of these sort of makes me think that they're gonna. So, but there's been nothing official. But I would have thought. I think the response to this has been so nice that we won't be able to help but replicate it.
Excellent.
And yeah. So I'd like somebody else to novelise Human Nature and Father's Day, please. Hopefully Elizabeth Miles, my podcast companion.
Oh, that's great. Tell me.
No. That's why I want to do it. There have been, I'm just casting that out into the world. Okay. Nobody knows about that officially yet.
I understand. So, were you able to choose, or did they say, "Do you want to do Twice Upon a Time"? How did it work?
It was specifically the editor of the Range. The wonderful Albert called me up and asked me to do Twice Upon a Time. Stephen Moffat had asked for me, which is a very nice thought.
That's excellent, man. That's really, really cool. Very cool. It's fantastic. And yeah, people don't say, well, I saw it, I don't need to buy it. No, you really do, because again, I love how you get into everybody's heads. And as, like you said, the best of Terrence Dicks was kind of, not that this story needed fixing, but again, just a depth to the story that we get beyond the television show, and it's absolutely worth getting. So,
well, I think it's a good one for going into the heads of the characters, because that gives a lot more dimensions, and I get to have fun. I get to do descriptions of Mark Gatiss and Toby Whithouse, which was one of my one of the things shallowly that I immediately thought of when they asked me, and I get to, Terrence Dicks has these wonderful quick descriptions of each Doctor that just work. Mm-hmm. I used his for William Hartnell, but I had to come up with my own entirely new ones for not only Peter Capaldi, but Jodie Whittaker as well. So that felt like, very much carrying the torch to be able to be the first person to, well, not in the case of Peter, the first person, but maybe, I don't know how Torrance-y the other writers who have attempted Peter in book form have been.
Understood.
But no, that was a great pleasure. So I couldn't feel more pleased about the whole adventure.
And just my own personal observation, I love Peter Capaldi. I've loved him since Local Hero, that William Forsythe movie he made back in the early 80s when he's a kid. And it's so great. It was just on Turner Classic Movies, our old movie cable channel, a couple months ago. Wonderful film, Burt Lancaster, Peter Riegert, and Peter very young and everything. But, it took a while, as I guess maybe it probably does for a lot of doctors, where I didn't I don't know why. I'm like, why aren't I enjoying this more? The writing was great, and I think Peter was certainly doing what he does, but it really didn't seem like until this final season that I really was like, oh, he's really comfortable being the Doctor, and he found his voice. And again, maybe other fans felt it much sooner. But
well, I thought his first season is one of my favourite seasons of Doctor Who because it's so brave and it's so different and he's so interesting. And I love the arc that mellows him out. That he kind of lives a complete human life. But at the start, that's such it feels like a new show. It feels like a brand new production team. And it was not a brand new production team. And how many production teams can actually do that? Reinvent the show to feel like somebody else has taken over. I'm amazed by that.
That's Paul Cornell. If you want to hear more of the interview, come to wordballoon.com, and you'll find it there on our website, along with over 700 other great interviews with great creators of geek culture, long-form interviews in the Word Balloon tradition. I hope you'll join me. Thanks a lot for watching and listening today. Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2018.